This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey guys, welcome to the WWE Podcast. Big show today as we duel things up with Saturday Night Main Event predictions for tomorrow night and the mailbag. Get your emails and calls here, and we'll be doing that shortly. But as the Saturday Night Main Event comes upon us, I would like to invite you, those of you who may not have the opportunity to join us on the ad-free side, to do that. You can do that on Patreon at patreon.com/WWE Podcast or Apple. On Apple Podcasts, you just click on the subscribe button, and both offer a 1-week free trial if you're interested. And also our other show. It's called The War on Truth, about politics and culture. You can check us out really anywhere else, that Patreon as well, War on Truth on Patreon or Apple. So let's dive into it. And we'll start with the emails as we do every single week. And we're going to start with AJ. He says, hopefully this is in on time. I just wanted to bring up that I'm glad I'm seeing more and more people on X point out that the massive flaws are in Roman Reigns' character. I don't understand why people like Michael Cole rode so hard for him during his title run. Roman barely ever defended, and he always had help. Yet Cole, a face, would call him the most dominant champion, and never had that line about if any other wrestlers are mad because about his schedule, they should just beat him. I don't know if I read that sentence right, but all right. It just made no sense why no one really ever pushed back against the character too hard for how he won and how often he defended. Also, I don't like how everyone just went back to him when he really hasn't changed at all. Yet his family, the ones who screwed him over the most, are just okay with him now because Solo was like a quarter, as bad as he was. I don't know what that means. Drew and KO have every right to hate the bloodline and Roman, and people like Cody don't make any sense for defending Roman's honor. Sometimes you need to just, and I should probably take my own advice at times, but you need to just suspend your disbelief. Try to consciously do that. Now, trying to consciously do it is not usually that effective because you're now consciously trying to take disbelief out, which disbelief should just happen without you forcing it. But sometimes trying to use logic will kill a storyline. I'm very guilty of that myself, criticizing stories that don't have logic. Then you're I think valid in your criticisms of the lack of logic here with Roman Reigns. He hasn't changed. People did criticize him for how often he defended. In fact, that was the number one complaint. Roman's not here. He never defends. I was very vocal about that myself when they tried to talk about how many days he was champion and how it's really a farce because, hey, you're just racking up days and you're not even here. Anyone could do that. And that's the number one criticism. And it was a criticism that I was consistent with, and many were as well. And I got tired of when he's here, it's special deodorizer. I got real tired of that. And sure, everyone else all of a sudden cool with him. But isn't that also the genius that he hasn't changed and people are also on his side? Like the crowd has supported him, yet he hasn't really changed outside of his music. He hasn't really changed at all, which is, I actually appreciate that. It's more consistent in storytelling because if Roman were to suddenly go back to smiling and complimenting the crowd, it would have felt very disingenuous. Would have felt very heavy-handed. But you don't need to change a character when they start cheering the guy that's not even there, knowing who he is. Meaning when Solo did what he did back in April, and you saw where they were going to go with this, he starts his own bloodline, goes against Roman, assaults Paul Heyman, you know what's coming. Very quickly after WrestleMania this happened. Yet people are chanting for Roman to come back, knowing who he is. Meaning, I don't want Roman to change, I just want him to come back and kick Solo's ass. It's kind of a great place to be as a character that they don't really want you to change to cheer you, and I actually like that. So now I think that sometimes they can have kind of a critical mistake with the characters where they're suddenly they hate the crowd and then they flip and they're suddenly complimentary and telling the crowd how they're going to be a fighting champion and all the rest. That I can't stand. But all right, side note, hopefully KO beats Cody on Saturday, but that won't happen because the belt is in purgatory until The Rock decides he feels like he's having a match, and that sucks. Yeah, probably. I'll get to my predictions a little bit. The second side note, I've been watching past pay-per-views lately, and I really, really think that Sammy should have been the one to beat Roman. Cody just needed to finish the boring story. I consistently say that, even though we saw it all play out, and at least Roman's a non-champion anymore, which is the important thing. I still believe in February of 23, it should have been Sami Zayn in Montreal beating Roman Reigns. I still believe that. All these months later, and now years almost later, Sammy was the right guy at the right time with the perfect kind of crowd connection that you want. A very Daniel Bryan-esque connection, meaning very genuine, very passionate. That's what you wanted for someone to beat Roman, but that's not where they wanted to go because they foresaw a potential Rock, WrestleMania showdown. They saw that, hey, it's February, WrestleMania is in 2 months. We're not going to have Roman drop the belt now. So I know why they didn't make that call, but I'm totally with you. Thanks, AJ. Let's go to Dino. He says, what's happening? I'm so frustrated. The ticket prices for Raw on March 24th here in Scotland, Glasgow, are the same as they were for Clash of the Castle back in June. I'm not going to dive right in this time because I'm not paying the £344 or $435 just for okay seats. The cheapest seats, by the way, are up in the back, which is about $219. For those interested, for the second row opposite the hard cam, it's £997, which is well over $1,000. Yeah, not happening. I don't blame you. That's highway robbery. Feels like a cash grab. Now, you know why they do this, right? You know how they're getting away with it, right? Couple things. Number one, expenses are higher for WWE to travel overseas. Ticket prices, planes, hotels, customs, passports, everything, transportation, you name it. Expenses, and for all that equipment to fly over a massive body of water versus just down the road is inherently more expensive for the company. So they're going to pass those expenses down onto the consumer like every other business does. That's not an evil strategy. That's just the way businesses operate. So that's part of it. The other part is they don't visit very often, and they know they can charge a little bit higher of a price because the fans will pay it since they're not there often. So you got a couple things working against you, and it is insane. I mean, that is insane. Sorry. I mean, for here in the States, for the seats you're talking about, for the okay seats, I would basically slice everything in half. I'd say it's, well, not even that, maybe less than that. For okay seats, maybe a lower level, not even camera side, you're looking at $80, maybe $80. For camera side, you're looking at like $120, $130. But if you want a good center camera, you're looking at $150. You want a ringside, you're looking at $500. So it's about, 50% lower to 60%, 70% lower here in the States for a Raw or a SmackDown. Now, of course, that changes with house shows or pay-per-views or PLEs. That's crazy. All right, I noticed on Wikipedia that there will be a new theme song for Raw starting on January 6th. So it got me thinking, because as you know, I care about all the little things. Does this mean a new set? Back to Pyro for every opening of Raw, maybe back to the classic Red Ropes, back to 3 hours, back to Cole and McAfee on commentary. Boy, I hope so, except for 3 hours. I prefer the 2-hour format. I swear the new Raw theme by Travis Scott better be good. That used to be a thing for... Now, I know you pay attention to it, Dino, and that's awesome. I haven't really paid attention to the Raw theme in quite a while. I remember all the classics back in the Attitude Era, back in the Ruthless Aggression era, but I haven't really paid too much of close attention to No, the Raw themes lately, it just kind of is what it is. It's not something that I pay particular attention to or have a vested interest in. But as far as the McAfee, yes, apparently McAfee will be back in January. I don't know about the classic ropes. This is going to be a big deal, a big show, massive show, a PLE quality show, stars studded everywhere, likely Rock, maybe even Austin, all hands on deck, forego the draft rules, which doesn't really make it much different than any other week, but it'll be especially egregious on January 6th. It's going to be a big, big, big show. Stage will be interesting. Do they need to change it? I don't know. I mean, they purposefully went for the setup they have now to accommodate more seating, where Vince forwent the seating for presentation. So we'll see. Is it just me that's noticed Alicia Taylor trying to replicate Samantha Irvin, especially with the Chelsea Green pronunciation? I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she gets a promotion to Raw in this stupid transfer window coming up. I guess it doesn't really matter, though, does it? Every now and then, even the ring announcer appearing on different shows because, as we all know, they don't care. Not to be a hypocrite, but I don't really care either. It's just that Alicia Taylor is the worst out of her, Lillian, and Mike Rome, in my opinion. Can't disagree. I never liked Alicia Taylor, at least in the perspective of looking at, like you said, the rest of the announcers. She was always in the shadow of Samantha Irvin, always, because Samantha Irvin was exceptional. And they brought her in as well, you know the three letters I'm thinking if you follow my other podcast. It's a 3-letter hire that I won't bring up here, but it's what it was. And they made a big deal about her being, oh my God, for the first time ever, 2 black women, female announcers. It's like, okay, cool. But like, is she here on merit or because of the color of her skin? I mean, that's a good question to ask. I don't think she's particularly great because she's always now going to be compared to Samantha Irvin. And that's whether fair or not, that's the reality. I have nothing personal against Alicia Taylor, but she's not Samantha Irvin, and that's her biggest sin. And I don't like her either. It's always like she is trying to be someone she's not. I don't even like her voice particularly. I find it not very. I don't think her voice fits what a ring announcer is. All right, Samantha Irvin, perfect. Lillian Garcia, right up there too. Mike Rome, like him too. You got to have a special kind of cadence in voice, and Alicia Taylor is not it. All right. So, lastly, if it's Seth versus Punk and Rock versus Cody at WrestleMania, then perhaps it's Roman versus Solo at WrestleMania for the Ulafala. I hope not, but then, as we all have learned this year, Triple H loves triple threats. So it could be Seth versus Punk versus Roman, or Rock versus Cody versus Roman. Neither of which I want, by the way. The other options for Roman could be Drew or maybe John Cena. Either way, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. So I would take those last 2 options out of the equation. I don't think Roman and McIntyre are going to be in the same universe yet. And by the way, my God, side note, before I forget, if you guys haven't listened to Drew McIntyre's interview that he did on Busted Open, listen to it. There's some free promotion for Busted Open. But it is brilliant because I honestly don't know if it's a work or a shoot. Don't know. Drew is entering a new level of believability, or blurring the lines, shall I say. I don't know what to make of this Drew McIntyre. It seems authentic, like he's giving a real interview, but it also could be viewed as part of his character as a heel, but he's not on WWE television. He's on a podcast. Go listen to it. It's not a drop dead awesome. It's not like a promo that you go, oh my God, best promo ever. It's just Drew being Drew, but you don't know what he's doing right now, or who he's trying to be, or if he's serious, or if this is, I'm serious. I don't know what Drew's doing to our minds, but it's awesome. Check it out. I would lean towards being a work, mostly work, but there's some real stuff in there. Okay. As far as the rest of this goes, could be Rock and Cody at WrestleMania, but then now we're hearing, oh, The Rock can't do this year's WrestleMania. How often do we effing hear that? Every single year we hear about The Rock. Oh, well, he's not going to be able to wrestle this year. Oh, well, he can't do that this year. Oh, well, you know, movies. He has a schedule, movies. And then, obviously last year got all effed up because the fans decided they wanted Cody instead of The Rock, and The Rock was in a tag team match only. So after all this time, after all The Rock's return and hubbubaloo, is that a word? I don't know. But he still hasn't had a one-on-one match. How? It's incredible. The Rock does all this training. Think about all the sacrifice The Rock had to do to train, and it was just for a tag team match, and he still hasn't had a singles match. So I've been very steadfast. I don't want Rock and Cody at WrestleMania. If they want to do it at a Rumble, I'm fine by it. You want to do it at Elimination Chamber? Cool. Hell, you want to make it one of the biggest SmackDown main events of all time and promote it as such? I'm fine with that too. But Rock Cody at WrestleMania does not interest me. Not that I won't watch it. Of course I will. But it doesn't interest me in the scheme of who could face who. Okay, I don't want Roman and Solo. And the reason is we've seen that over the we haven't got like the full one-on-one for the Ulufala. But is the Ulufala really going to be the hook for WrestleMania for Roman, given we've seen Roman versus Solo since he returned at SummerSlam? I mean, that's been his program. Are we really going to stretch that all the way to WrestleMania? I don't think they can. I don't think the fans would be super interested in it. I mean, don't forget also WrestleMania is like mid-April, late April, like April 20th or something this year. So that's a hell of a long time away to continue this program. So, all right. And as far as John Cena, Roman, no, I think John Cena right now is going to be, he could face Roman, but he already faced Roman a couple of years ago. And it was for the championship. We've been there. We've done Roman and Cena. And also, who are you turning heel in that? Neither. That would, I think, be a little bit of a bad move. Now, not that they couldn't have another match before Cena calls it a career in December of 25, so a year from now. But I don't think there's really any value in those two hooking it up again. Because you don't want to turn either one of them heel right now. Oh, so many questions. Thanks, Dino. All right. Let's see. I know I've got somebody who's not a patron, but those of you, by the way, if you don't know, you can go to Patreon and you can get yourself not just ad-free everything, but you also get priority in this particular show. Those who aren't patrons, we still read your emails, but we put those who are patrons to the front of the line. So, speaking of which, let's talk to Alex, the French guy. And he says, I want to continue my discussion on Seth and CM Punk beyond the notion of heel and face here. The philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, oh boy, that's about as good as you're going to get, in his book, Beyond Good and Evil, says that beyond the moral compass of good and evil lies the concept of, quote, will to power. It represents a creative and dynamic that drives self-growth, self-overcoming, and transformation, pushing individuals to assert themselves and create new values. Why all of this? In my opinion, the WWE audience respects this about Punk, regardless of what he does and if it's wrong or not. Heel or face, people will choose Punk because he stands up for himself. The same can't be said for Seth. For the past 10 years, Seth has been a staple corporate man that would do everything for the company. Dress up like a goof? Okay. Lose against anyone? Okay. Defend the company at any cost? Okay. I think this is why people tend to cheer for Punk more, because he seems to genuinely care for himself first. A little longer than usual, but I hope it's clear. That could be the reason, Alex. He seems more anti-establishment, that he doesn't have any kind of loyalty to the company. He's a rebel. He's against the man. But let's take everything you said at face value for argument's sake. That's why people are cheering for Punk and they'll boo Seth. Because Punk is caring about himself first. Well, if that's true, then that's a little bit of a referendum on today's society that prioritizing yourself over the company you're working for is something that should be applauded. Now, that's not to say you're a slave of the company, that you'll do their bidding no matter the request, right? Illegal or not. Of course not. Nobody is an actual slave to any company they work for. They may say it as an analogy, but in literal terms, they're not. Okay, so putting that situation aside, putting yourself over the company is clearly a selfish act that will result in likely you being fired. It's a referendum on your character that you put yourself before the greater good of the company. It's not a great quality. Now, you can look at it as rebellious or whatever you want, and going against the man, going against the machine is something that has traditionally been something the fans cheer. Look at Stone Cold Steve Austin, for God's sakes. But he did it within the context of still pushing the company forward. Hell, he pushed it to heights the company had never seen in the late 90s. Right? So, sure, you could look at Seth dressing up like a goof, losing against anyone, defending the company at any cost as negatives because he'll do anything for the company. But easily, those could be turned into positives. As he's a company guy. He'll do whatever the company wants him to do, within reason, of course. He's not going to go out there and do something insanely self-destructive or illegal, as I said. Of course not. But within the context of, and the common goal of trying to further the company, which is what the stars actually should do, because guess what? It still means more money in their pockets. Common goals can happen here. You can have disagreements about how you want to dress. I prefer not to lose to this person, but here's a better way to do it. That's all fine and well, but that's semantics. If you have a common goal as an employee and you want to actually help the company, because sure, even if the actual underlying reason is to help yourself, if you're still helping the company, then who the hell cares? Because both get what they want. So I see what you're saying, but I think the fans gravitate towards Punk because he feels more authentic than Seth Rollins does at times. So for me, it's authenticity. It's not necessarily that Seth is just a company guy. And it seems to be that way. I mean, we don't know. Maybe Seth came up with the whole gimmick here. I don't know for sure. Does he want to dress up like that? Maybe that's just who he was. Maybe that was his idea. Who knows? But I think, again, you can have common goals and should have common goals. And I think authenticity for Punk is the reason that people gravitate to him. And, obviously he's got still more time in the business than Seth Rollins does, but Seth Rollins is still a veteran by definition too. Interesting, Alex. All right. Let's go to another patron, Jeff. And he says, hello all. Saturday night's main event is looking like it's going to be a great night. There's some positivity, Jeff. I like it. Nothing big is going to change, but I do feel like next Monday, Finn and JD will be losing their tag titles to the War Raiders. I also love what they're doing with the New Day. This is definitely the best I've seen them. Just wanted to stop in and say hi to all my fellow wrestling fanatics. Won't be in the Discord tonight as I'll be out for my birthday, which is today. Oh, well, happy birthday 2 days ago, Jeff. So happy birthday 2 days ago. Stay UC, my friends. Let's go Mets. The new $395 poor Mets. Yeah. Well, you got, okay, very quickly on the Mets. I know some people just hate it when I talk about anything other than wrestling, but he brought it up. So the Mets, obviously, if you follow baseball or you don't, or you might have seen the headline, signed Juan Soto to a 16-year, $765 million a year, about $51 million a year. So I think you meant $765 million. But yeah, so that's an all-time record, highest contract ever for any player ever in baseball. It's wild. Outbid the Yankees. You guys got Steve Cohen, an owner sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars. You're good. This is really not that much money for Steve Cohen, who is sitting on a pile of cash, and they're able to outbid the Yankees for the first time. I mean, when's the last time the Yankees were outbid by an organization that is like the Yankees? Never. So, you guys got a hell of a player. Hell of a player. All right. Let's now go to an email from, who is this? This is Barb, or Barbara. And she says, hello, just wanted to say, I love the podcast. I've learned so much about the show since listening. It's also so fun to getting everyone's point of view. This question is for Jeff. I would assume the Jeff that I just read an email from. Why is the jury no longer introduced at the tribal council? I like that. In case I forgot names, is there a reason why this stopped? I don't feel like it takes up much time. I know how precious it is with this show. I've been a fan since the very first season. Love this show. All right. So why is the jury no longer introduced at Tribal Council. I don't know what you're talking about, Barb. So maybe that's why it's for Jeff. So this is for Jeff. My name's not Jeff. I'm Matt, but maybe I'm not sure. So if it is for Jeff, Barb, first of all, thank you for the compliments. I'm not sure what we're talking about, though. So feel free, please email me back and say, oh, you're talking about this. And then I'll feel stupid and be, I can clarify it on the show. But, well, thank you, Barb, for listening. And if you're learning from this show, cool. The more you know, cue the NBC logo. All right. Thank you so much. Now let's get to one or two. Wait a minute. No. I take that back. We got DJ. Sorry, DJ. Your email was down below. So I apologize. Let's get to DJ, and then we'll get to the emails, or rather the voicemails, and then do my predictions for the Saturday night main event. All right. After listening to last week's mailbag, I want to preface this by saying that some of my grammatical errors were indeed due to me trying to keep my eyes open on a Thursday morning after coming home from the usual 8-hour overnight shift. So I apologize. Don't worry about it, DJ. Sometimes I can't read, and so I just chalk it up to either I am illiterate right now, or maybe there were some typos. It's all good. Now let's get to my predictions for Saturday night's main event before I fall asleep again. All right, we'll see how far we can go. Gunther versus Priest versus Balor for the world title. Here's DJ's predictions. Once again, another triple threat. I roll my eyes while typing this. I predict Gunther retains. Okay. The Women's United States Championship Finals. I predict that Tiffany and Bayley will be in the finals, as they will most likely win their semifinal matches on this Friday's episode of SmackDown. But I predict that Bayley wins the U.S. title, while some sort of outside distraction from either her, with some outside distraction from either Naomi, Candice, or Nia Jax. Sammy versus Drew McIntyre. Drew wins. Liv versus Io Sky for the women's world title. You're predicting that Liv Morgan wins. Cody versus KO, undisputed WWE title, or as many people are suspecting, the Winged Eagle Championship from the mid-90s. This is kind of tough for me to predict because KO makes a reasonable and possible case to become world champion. But I'm going to predict that Cody retains. It would be interesting, though, if KO wins, since he hasn't won a major title since 2016, the same year that Cody requested his release from WWE. Anyway, DJ signing off. Enjoy Saturday night's main event. Have a great weekend. And he'll see everyone in the Discord chat Saturday night. All right. Or Friday and Saturday. All righty. Well, I'll respond to those shortly, DJ. Not some bad picks here. You got some pretty good ones. I will just say that. But let's get to said email, or rather voicemails. Let's do that right now, and then we'll dive into the predictions. So let's go.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Records you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Joe Hendry is his name, as I take it to my 22nd episode of the George Report, coming to you live once again from an undisclosed location. I must mention before we start the show, a little bit of news in professional baseball. As a New York Mets fans, shout out to all you Mets fans out there, because we got the word that Juan Soto is coming to the Mets for 15 years for $765 million. That's right, $765 million, as he is now the highest paid baseball player in Major League Baseball, as he surpassed Shohei Ohtani's millions that he made last season. Anyway, this is a time to rejoice for all you Mets fans. We are no longer playing second fiddle to the New York Yankees, who are crying and complaining that Juan Soto ditched their ball club and is now joining the New York Mets. So shout out to Steve Cohen for making this happen for Juan Soto to come to the New York Mets. And hopefully we can win a World Series. We haven't won a World Series since 1986. And of course, our last World Series appearances was at 2015, where we got embarrassed by the Kansas City Royals. But this is a day to rejoice for all you Mets fans. So to all you Yankee fans, keep crying, keep complaining, because this is our city. New York Mets, let's go! New York Mets, let's go! Anyway, let's get back to the Joe Hendry Report. I just had to get that off my chest, as Juan Soto is going to be part of a new renaissance in New York baseball for the New York Mets. Anyway, let's get to the Joe Hendry Report, episode 22. As last week on TNA Pro Wrestling, it has been announced that Joe Hendry will be included in a Fatal 4-Way, which will be happening this coming Friday at TNA's final pay-per-view of the year called TNA Final Resolution, live from Atlanta, Georgia, as Joe Hendry will be included in a Fatal 4-Way. And this is, if he wins this Fatal 4-Way, he will be the new #1 contender to face Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, which will be taking place on January 19th of 2025, live from Texas at this pay-per-view called TNA Genesis. So with that being said, this has to be the win for Joe Hendry. Look, he has had a tremendous year. Give Joe Hendry the victory in this Fatal 4-Way to top off a great year of 2024 before he goes into 2025, as he this time will go up against Nick Nemeth again. Hopefully in 2025, this will be the year that he finally becomes a TNA World Champion. Now, let's also talk about what's going on outside of TNA Pro Wrestling, as Joe Hendry, of course, makes his appearances. This past Saturday at Rocket Pro Wrestling in Jolie, Illinois, Joe Hendry made an appearance. Then this past Sunday, live from Memphis, Tennessee, Joe Hendry made his Memphis Pro Wrestling debut in a Rumble event. I also saw that Joe Hendry is on the cover of PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrator, February 2025 magazine cover is none other than Joe Hendry as he graces the cover, talking about his story, his tremendous year of 2024, and how you must continue to believe and say his name. The road to redemption from where he was back in 2021 and 2022 to where he is right now and his future. Of course, he will end up in the WWE, but you got to get that digital copy of Joe Hendry. It's the February 2025 cover. It's already out right now on PWI's website. I will be purchasing it as well. And most importantly, folks, always remember to say his name. Believe. Remember the words that Joe Hendry says anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, shout out to all you Mets fans. Once again, we got Juan Soto, the best baseball player in the league today. But most importantly, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
All right, DJ. Yeah, the Mets, man. Hey, listen. People keep bringing it up. I'm going to respond. I'm a Yankee fan. Unapologetically. No, I mean, I'm not sitting here crying about Soto. Does it suck? Yeah. Because again, for the first time, you have an organization that can outbid the mighty Yankees. When's the last time that happened? Like I said, this is something that is foreign to the Yankee fans that just feel that they have an unlimited amount of money that their particular team will shell out. Dollars don't matter. They'll just get and purchase whatever they want and whoever they want. So true, Steve Cohen has deeper pockets than the Yankees do, which is unfathomable to most of us. But here's the thing that I would warn all Mets fans here. You have more potential now, but you didn't buy guarantees, right? Just like any team. This doesn't just apply to the Mets, but since we're talking about them, and this goes for any sports team every year, all the time. Every year you pick up a player on the free agent market, you pick somebody up from college or from the minor leagues, or you make a trade. All you're purchasing in reality is potential. That's it. The other side of this is now you have to deliver. You have to deliver to the fans what they expect. And what they expect now from the Mets specifically is a World Series. This may be the first time that the Mets are in a position of World Series or bust from the fans' perspective, because they were two wins away this year from going to the World Series. 2, which would have been a Subway Series, which I actually wanted versus instead of LA. Now, the Yankees might have still lost. They played like crap in the World Series and were outclassed by younger, more athletic talent on the Dodgers, and credit to them. But it's World Series or bust now for the Mets. I don't think the organization has felt this kind of pressure or had this kind of expectation since, hell, maybe your 1986 championship. But again, the Mets, the owner, Steve Cohen, bought higher potential, but no guarantees. There's no such thing. Guarantees don't exist in sports. So, yeah, but hey, one way or the other, I'll stop talking about baseball for everybody. Like, oh my God, I just want to listen to wrestling. Last thing I'll say on this, it should be a hell of a baseball season in New York. Hell of a baseball season. The Yankees maybe, I think I think the Yankees will probably take the wild card position. I actually, if they don't, they just picked up Max Fried, but I think that they'll be battling for first place. Whoever wins is going to win by like 2 to 3 games. They'll be battling with Baltimore. And I think that it's going to be a hell of a close dogfight all season. And it'll come down to the last week, just like it did, was it last year, year before? So, anyway, I'm done with the baseball talk. Joe Hendry, guys, PWI. Now, PWI doesn't have the same cachet, swag as it used to when it comes to, who's on the cover? Because magazines have gone by the wayside. But like you said, the digital copy, yes. But I don't know how many people now still read PWI as far as like looking at it and going, oh my God, who's on the cover? That said, it doesn't, I think, take away from what it means. Joe Hendry being on the cover of that magazine is a big deal. It's a big deal. And I continue to say I'm excited for his future. Yes, WWE bound, but what he's doing in the meantime, and the impact he's making, laying the foundation, and it's a great time for him to discover who and what he is and all that kind of thing. So thank you, DJ, for keeping us updated. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey, Matt, it's Brad in Florida calling you from 72 degrees on a Tuesday night, the best state in the country, and I say that as a former New Yorker, but listen, man, I have a bone to pick with WWE on one topic just tonight. The 2-night PLEs. I hear they are thinking about a 2-night Royal Rumble. Obviously, they're doing a 2-night WrestleMania, of course, as always, but a 2-night SummerSlam coming up in 2025. You know, there's something to be said for leaving people wanting more. They're also, obviously going to a 3-hour Raw or back to a 3-hour Raw, back to a 3-hour SmackDown. You're throwing in Saturday night's main events here and there now. I mean, at what point does WWE say, hey, maybe we should leave our fans wanting a little bit more? Because I'm at the point now where wrestling is going to start, especially with 2-night PLEs, it's going to start monopolizing my entire life. And I can't not have a Saturday night and a Sunday night. I'm married. I have a wife who needs things and wants to go places and do things with friends and family and whatever. And it's really hard to say, hey, honey, SummerSlam is on, so we're doing nothing Saturday and Sunday night. It's a very hard thing to do. So to me, I think it's a big mistake. There's a lot to be said for, scarcity in certain instances, and I'm not saying they're going to go to scarce programming where it's not a lot at all, but when you're talking about 3 hours, and then another 3 hours during the week, that's 12 hours of wrestling in a week. And if you're including NXT, it's 14. I mean, it is a tremendous commitment. It's becoming a tremendous commitment. Much more than NFL, much more than baseball, much more than college football, much more than basketball, much more than hockey, much more than anything. So I think they should really rethink this. I think it's a terrible idea to do 2 nights of Royal Rumble, 2 nights of Hell in a Cell or Bad Blood or whatever. It's just ridiculous. So signing off. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, please, Brad. I need a weather report every single week here from now until April. It'll make me feel really good about myself. Now that said, the only thing I can retort on that is that I'll be in Cancun for 2 weeks, or not 2 weeks. I'll be off for 2 weeks from work, but I'll be in Cancun for 4 nights in February. And it might affect the podcast. I might have some fill-ins, by the way. I'll have more details about that, but that'll be the only time that I have warmer weather than you is in February when I'm in Cancun. So we'll see. And last year I did go to Cancun too. It was a disaster of a trip. Not that anyone asked or cared, but it was a horrible experience last time. And I've been before that too, and it was a great experience. But the travel there was horrible. Freezing planes, layovers, canceled flights. It was like 12 hours later than we wanted to get in. I was only 2 nights or 3 nights that we were staying there. I ended up cutting my finger the moment we got into the hotel room. The medical team had to come in and wrap my finger up. I was wearing like this wrapped up finger the whole time I was there. It was just a total disaster. But oddly, I still did have fun. But anyway, that is the only time I'll be able to give you a little bit of a ha ha he he look at my weather. That's it. And I will be sure to do that if I can record a show there, maybe I will. Anyway, WWE has they have the, I don't know if it is a flaw or a feature or a bug, whatever analogy you want to use, because they have a fan base that there's a significant portion that can't get enough. There's a significant portion that just says more and more and more. And I don't think that's the majority, but I think that's some. Raw being 3 hours, we'll never get used to. 2 hours is the sweet spot for a wrestling show. I don't want 3. But here's the other thing beyond fans that do want 3 or can't get enough or can get enough, like you and I are. I'm on the same boat, man. I got kids. I got a wife too. I got life. I got other things I want to watch. It's a hell of a commitment. But to WWE, it's not just about, well, there is a lot of content. I think they also look at it as, hey, more content, more ad revenue, right? The more you put out. In this little show I have, in the little corner of the internet that this show is, I know that we have, the more content we have, the more ads I can put in the show, the more revenue I make. It's not a secret. So I think they're looking at it through that perspective too of, hey, I make more content. That means I can sell more ad space, which means our company makes more money. And if the downside is a bunch of fans that say, oh my God, too much content overload, we'll take that. We'll take that trade-off for more money. And they will every time and twice on Sunday, right? Because they are money first. I know we want to pretend just that, the WWE are here to serve our needs and our preferences, but they are here and exist first and foremost to make money. I know that a lot of people don't want to remember that or pretend that that's not the case, that they're here to serve and protect, right? They're not. Just like Juan Soto going to the Mets. The Yankee fans wanted to believe he wanted to be a Yankee for life, and Monument Park and the tradition and the history. Nonsense. All about the money, baby. It's all about the money. And if the fans are happy, then that's a secondary bonus, but that's certainly not our priority at all times. The priority at all times is to satisfy Wall Street. Make the most money we can. And if people want to demonize them for that, so be it. They'll take the criticism and laugh all the way to the bank. That's what they'll do. And their stock price reflects that. The WWE's never been more profitable. Right? And so again, but there's a trade-off, and that trade-off is an overwhelming saturation of content that, as you said, also sucks up an entire weekend now. To be fair, it's it's 3 weekends a year that we're going to have to deal with dual night PLE. We're also no longer in the era of either watch it or you can't watch it, right? Either watch it live or you can't, or got to throw the VCR tape in, right? For those of you that know what a VHS tape is, anyway, VCR is where you put the VHS tape, but you get my drift, right? That everything's on demand. So unless you need to know what happened at that moment, WWE would say, well, it's on demand. If you have Peacock, you can watch it at your convenience at any time. So there is that too, but I totally agree with you. There's just generally, if I could wave my magic wand that doesn't exist, I would make less content. I would. Because guess what that also does? From a fan's perspective, again, not from Wall Street or money, but from a fan's perspective, which, as we're seeing right now, is in contrast with the goals of WWE's making money strategy. rightfully so, is that less content will lead to higher quality content, at least in theory, because there's less content to produce, so you can focus at a higher quality on the actual content that you do have, which is less, right, or fewer hours. So there's that too. But anyway, good stuff, Brad. I hope all is well, and thank you so much. Let's get to one more voicemail, and then my predictions, which will go pretty quick, but I have some thoughts that I haven't shared yet. So one more, and see who it is here. I think it's Alex. So let's go.
Alex, French guy here, your current European champion. I wanted to make an After Dark episode about this subject I'm about to tell you, but I don't have any enough inspiration to make a whole episode of After Dark for it, so I've just put it here. The inspiration comes from the recent storyline between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, and I noticed that in WWE recent memory, you can pinpoint every storyline in the WWE right now. All of them, you can make the case for the heel being right. In the Seth Rollins versus CM Punk case, you can make the case for CM Punk being right, or you can make the case for Seth Rollins too. Same goes with the New Day. You can make the case Big E leaving his partner, not doing anything for them, even though he's been injured. Same for Big E. You can make the case for him, saying that, of course, he had to leave with the family and everything else. Same with the Bloodline story. All of course, it's presented for Solo Sikoa being the heel in this situation, but let's remind everybody that Roman Reigns was the one to name, literally, Solo Sikoa as the next tribal chief. He did this. And Solo Sikoa is doing nothing but the same methods Roman Reigns did in the previous years, in the title reign. Just doing maybe some more violent stuff and evicted some members in the Bloodline, but that's maybe the methods of Roman Reigns. I can name all of those storylines in recent memories that are blurred between good and evil. And that's kind of, I don't know if it's cool or not, it's just something that I noticed. Same goes with Drew McIntyre being the pit point. I say pit point a lot today, but he is the pit point of this phenomenon. That's it for me this week. Bye, guys.
Alex, first of all, thank you. Second, you bring up a very interesting point that I think needs to be emphasized. Heels are often associated with lying, cheating, and stealing, and not in the endearing way that Eddie Guerrero was able to manipulate them. In the traditional, just very unlikable, low quality type of attributes that somebody would have. Right? Lying, cheating, and stealing generally are viewed as bad things. Again, unless your name's Eddie Guerrero. But for the rest of us here on Earth, those are generally perceived as bad things. However, heels in pro wrestling don't always need to adhere to them in an absolute vacuum, right? Like it's not an all or nothing. And what you're talking about here with the baby faces telling, or really the heels telling the truth, it sometimes can be even more frustrating when the heels are telling you something that's true that you don't like, because you can't dispute it without having to lie yourself about the facts that the heel is giving you. Right? Now, Solo did take the reins, no pun intended, without Roman saying it's time to do so. Roman didn't retire or say, hey, if I lose, you're it. Solo just took it upon himself. That's the difference. But with McIntyre, who's the perfect guy to symbolize this concept of telling the truth can be something heels do, that's who you look towards. And CM Punk too, and Seth Rollins too. I know they're not heels, but you'd argue that Seth may be turning heel here. You have Drew McIntyre, who's a perfect iteration of this, giving us exactly what he believes is true and what in some cases is objectively true, right? And I think that, as I said at the beginning of the show, Drew McIntyre has gone above and beyond now, and I will actually be doing a video on this shortly. I may put it on YouTube as I start to dip my toe into YouTube a little bit more, not just on audio, but video. So stay tuned for more on that. However, I like this, right? It's not all about lying. And also, on that same vein, heels don't always have to cheat to win. It's kind of the same premise. You don't have to cheat to win. Sometimes you're just better, but you're a bad guy or a bad girl, right? I don't mean that in a kind of provocative way. I mean that in the literal sense, like you're just a bad person as a character, I should say. Like your character is an evil person. Has an evil trait. It's very unlikable, yet they're just simply better. That can exist. They're not mutually exclusive. You don't always have to be in a position to cheat to have to win a match. You can just be a bad person and still win a match. That actually, to me, would be more imposing and more effective as a heel because you legitimize yourself as a true threat. Like, hey, this guy's a bad dude. Awful person. But you know what? Like, he can beat you outright without having to cheat to win. And I think sometimes that's an underutilized concept that WWE needs to implement more. Not all the time, but more often. That sometimes heels can tell the truth and can straight up beat baby faces, but also be really bad people. I think that's something that needs to be explored a little bit more. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for those emails and voicemails. Again, you can join this party here and go over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. You can also call us if you prefer to do so and leave a voicemail. That number, by the way, is 518-952-0247 if you want to call us. But email us, mailbag@wwepodcast.com if you are interested in joining us on the mailbag side of things. But let's get to the actual card here for Saturday night's main event. My predictions, my thoughts. Let's get into it. So let's start with Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship. I fully expect Gunther to come out of this with the belt. I don't think there's going to be any major change here, any major shift. I think Gunther retains. He should move on here from Priest and Balor, honestly, because Balor and Priest have unfinished business. This is not a one-on-one. I think that Balor and Priest are going to have a final finale after this match. Gunther will likely pin Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor takes the pinfall here, and that's okay. But Finn Balor and Priest have unfinished business that needs to be resolved post this match. But this one's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to this one a lot, even though Gunther should not lose this. There's no need to fool around with that. All right, Io Sky versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. Boy, you know, while Liv is the favorite, I wouldn't say it's 100%. I would still say Liv is about an 80% favorite here, you know, because Io Sky was champion, just before WrestleMania, or I'm sorry, at WrestleMania, she lost to Bayley. So it's been, however many months since April. Not time for her to recapture a championship. Obviously, that was a different championship on the SmackDown side, but Io Sky has, as of late, gotten some pretty good support from the crowd. Yes, she's opposing Liv Morgan, who has been one of the breakout stars of 2024, having her best year ever in professional wrestling, but Io Sky is also on the rise and showing you how damn good she is in the ring. Breaking away from Damage Control, the group I think is dissolved, hopefully. Never want to hear that group again, but if it's not, Io does feel like she's separated, and her and Liv should have a hell of a match. I expect fully for Raquel Rodriguez to be involved here, screwing Io Sky out of the match, but I'd say it's 80-20 that Liv wins. Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, or the Undisputed WWE Championship. Look, Winged Eagle Championship or not, I just don't see Cody Rhodes losing. Kevin Owens continues. It's been the staple of his career to be in a position to be a fun contender, but never a true threat to win the championship. That's been his MO for how many years now for the top belt. Now, he was undisputed champion for a while, right? If you remember back in August of, 18, 17, something like that, where he handed, remember Triple H pedigreed Rollins and he handed the championship, the Undisputed Championship, to Kevin Owens. But outside of that, man, I mean, Kevin Owens has never been able to be in a position to be a true threat. I think part of it's timing, and part of it is the company doesn't really view him as the face of the company. They view Cody Rhodes as that. And again, I'll continue to say until The Rock comes back and challenges Cody, there is no chance Cody loses. I'll continue to say that. Now, they could shock the world and have Kevin win. Hell, I'd actually really enjoy that. Kevin's on a fun run right now. He's doing interviews in rental cars and being a funny, I guess not a purposefully funny heel. He's just kind of a comedic guy. He's got great comedic timing, but he's generally a guy that tells the truth. He's kind of on a Drew McIntyre level, but he's easily unlikable. At the same time, he's also likable if he wants to be. Fun match. I expect him to try to cheat to win. I expect Cody Rhodes to probably squeak this one out and get a victory, unless they want to shock the world. And I would not be opposed to that, but I just don't see it happening looking forward. Looking into the big picture, we're in WrestleMania season now. I don't foresee them going into WrestleMania thinking Kevin Owens in the main event versus whoever. They've never put Kevin in that position or even hinted that they want to. So once again, Kevin's the bridesmaid, not the bride. That's unfortunate here, what I believe is going to happen. All right, so the other one is Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. Drew has to win this. He must win this. He must win this match because Drew right now is going deeper and darker into a spiral than anybody thought we could. And we thought we had a fun version of him before. If what I saw on the Busted Open podcast is any indication, we are in for a delectable treat of a even darker, more sinister, more selfish character of Drew McIntyre. I can't wait, if this is any indication. So Drew has to win this. Sammy doesn't need this. This is about Drew and putting Drew over. I don't care if he cheats to win. Doesn't matter. This is Drew's time. Drew's time. Again, this isn't the biggest match in the history of the company by any means, but it'll signify where they feel Drew might be going in the coming months. So, all right. Do I expect any big returns? No, this is a C-level event. This is not a return event, although maybe that's the reason why they should have a return. I don't foresee that. I don't foresee The Rock coming back. I don't see Roman Reigns on this card. I don't see Solo Sikoa on this card. So it's kind of a matter-of-fact, fun wrestling match, wrestling heavy event, and that's the expectation I think we should have going into it. And anything beyond that will just be gravy. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. Again, if you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the place to go. And if you want to go ad-free also for my other show, The War on Truth, you can do that on the same platforms as Patreon, The War on Truth on Patreon, or on Apple Podcasts as well. And you can get an ad-free experience, not just that, but also a Discord server, guys. Discord server inside of the WWE Podcast Patreon side if you want to join and chat during the live events. It's always fun to watch you guys battle back and forth and have a good time during those events. So, all right, that'll do it for me. I'll be back on the other side of the PLE of this, I guess you want to call it that, for Saturday night's main event with all my review and reactions Sunday. So until then, guys, take care, enjoy the event, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.